Hi everyone, welcome to Science Facilitator channel. I would be happy if you subscribed to my channel. Have you ever think what is the basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms? Yes, that was cell. Today we are going to learn about history of cell. I divided this topic into 4 subtopics. Those are cell and its characteristics, who discovered cells, the cell theory, cell size, shape and composition. Let's begin with our first subtopic, cells and its characteristics. What is the definition of cell? A cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms. And what are the importance of cells? Building blocks, life processes, diversity. If you see building blocks, cells are the basic building blocks of all living organisms. Life processes. They carry out essential life functions like respiration, growth, reproduction, and response to stimuli. Then diversity. The variety of life on Earth is due to different ways cells can combine and specialize. What are the key characteristics of cell? Microscopic, membrane-bound, cytoplasm, organelles, genetic material. Microscopic. Most cells are too small to be seen with the naked eye. And membrane-bound. A cell is enclosed by protective outer layer called a cell membrane. Cytoplasm. The interior of cell is filled with a jelly-like substance called cytoplasm. Organelles. Specialized structures within the cell called organelles. They perform specific functions. Genetic material. Cells contain DNA, the molecule that carries genetic information from one generation to another generation or one person to another person. Words to remember: cells, tissues, organs, organisms. Cells. Cells are the basic building blocks of life. Tissues. Group of cells are called tissues. Example: connective tissues, nervous tissues, and muscle tissues. Organs. Group of tissues are called organs. Example: brain, liver, like. What are the organisms? Group of organs are called organisms. Example: human beings, animals, and all living beings. If you see here, cells forms tissues, the tissues forms organs, and the organs forms organisms. Okay, let's go to our second subtopic. Who discovered cell? Robert Hooke discovered the cell in 1665. Robert Hooke observed a piece of bottle cork under a compound microscope, and he noticed minuscule structures that reminded him of small rooms like compartments. This is the microscope used by Robert Hooke at first. Consequently, he named these rooms as cells. However, his compound microscope had limited magnification and hence he could not see any details in the structure. Owing to the limitation, Hooke concluded that these were non-living entities. This is the image that Robert Hooke was observed under his first microscope. Later, Antony van Leeuwenhoek observed the free living cells in pond water in 1674 under another compound microscope with higher magnification. This time, he had noted that the cells exhibited some form of motility. As a result, Leeuwenhoek concluded that these microscopic entities were alive. Eventually, after a host of other observations, these organisms in 1883, Robert Brown, a Scottish botanist, provided the very first insight into the cell structure. He was able to describe the nucleus present in the cells of orchids. Here, you have to remember one point. Crop cells are dead, rectangular shaped cells found in the outer layers of stems and roots of plants as they grow. And let's go to our other subtopic, the cell theory. The cell theory is a fundamental principle in biology that provides a framework for understanding living organisms. The cell theory was developed and proposed by Matthias Claydon and Theodor Swan in 19th century. Matthias Claydon he observed in plants and Theodor Swan he observed in animals. However, we can remember these two guys like Sladen and Swan. In 1858, Rudolf Virchow, he is a pathologist, said all cells arise from pre-existing cells. This is amazing discovery, which was stated by him in Latin as omnius cellula e cellula. These are the key points of cell theory. All living organisms are composed of one or more cells. This means that the cell is the basic unit of life, from single-celled bacteria to complex multicellular organisms like humans. All living things are made up of cells. Second one, the cell is the basic unit of structure and function in living organisms. This implies that cells are not only the building blocks of life, but also carry out essential life processes such as metabolism, growth, reproduction, and response to stimuli. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. This is the third important key point. This principle emphasizes that cells do not spontaneously generate, they come from division of other cells. Okay, what are the implications of cell theory? Unit of life. Yes, the cell theory provides evidence for the common ancestry of all living organisms, as they share the same basic structural unit. Second one, disease understanding. By studying cellular processes, scientists can better understand the causes and treatments of diseases. Third one, technological advancements. Cell biology research has led to the development of important technologies in medicine, agriculture, and biotechnology, and many more. Here, I wanted to remember one point. Viruses are an exception to cell theory. If you see the microscopes, these are simple microscope and compound microscope. Simple microscope, it shows an image or any particle from 10 to 15 times more, and a compound microscope, it shows a particle up to 1000 times. If you see the electron microscope, this is unbelievable because it shows a particle up to 2 lakhs times. Here, X represents magnification to view object clearly, and the electron microscope was invented by Max Knoll and Ernst Ruska in 1931. This type of questions are important at the time of competitive exams. Okay, let's go to our next subtopic, cell size, shape, and composition. The shape and size of cells are in fact related to the function they perform. Here I wanted to remember one point, morphology, the study of form structure of organisms. Actually, I highlighted some points with blue and green color. Those are important points. Okay, the cell size. Cell size measured in micrometer, also known as a microns. Cell size range 1/10 to 1000 of a millimeter. Do you know 1000 micrometers is equal to 1 millimeter? Yes. Have you ever think the smallest cell is microplasma? Yes. This is the smallest bacteria, 0.1 micron. And largest cell is ostrich egg. Yes, that is ostrich bird egg. This is multicellular organ. This size is 170 into 135 mm. The largest cell is a nerve cell. This is up to 1 meter. Next, cell shape. The shapes of cells are more variable than their size, and cell shape is often determined by the function which it performs. That means both cell size and cell shape, which was determined by its performing function. Based on the cell shape, there are two types. Those are unicellular and multicellular organisms. Some of the examples of unicellular organisms: amoeba, chlamydomonas, and paramecium. Amoeba, it is a single cellular animal. The body is irregular shape. And the chlamydomonas, this is a single cellular plant. The body is oval or rounded in shape. And the paramecium, it is a unicellular animal, has the shape of slipper. This is the image helpful to you to remember which are the unicellular organisms, which are the multicellular organisms. The multicellular organisms. And some of the examples for multicellular: stomata, xylem and phloem, nerve cells, muscle cells, red blood cells. If you see the stomata, in leaf epidermis, stomata consisting of two kidney-shaped guard cells. This structure helps in the exchange of gases and loss of water from leaf surface. Then, xylem and phloem. These elements are like tubular structures, so as to help in conduction of water and minerals. Nerve cells, to pass information from brain to respiratory and muscle systems via spinal cord. Muscle cells. These cells are useful for movement of body parts. And red blood cells. Red blood cells are useful for gases exchange. These are the images of some uni and multicellular organisms. Okay, then we will go to cell composition. J.K. Purkinje gave the term protoplasm. Protos means first, plasm means form. He said in 1839, the protoplasm is the life-giving substance present in the cells. It is present in plants. Chemically, protoplasm consists of various organic and inorganic molecules. Those are 75% of the water, 10 to 50% of the carbohydrate, 2 to 10% of proteins, 1 to 10% of fats, and 1% of minerals. Nucleic acids also present. Thanks for watching. Happy learning.